Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah. When we unite. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome.
Welcome, 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 everyone. Welcome, welcome. Grand risings. And what is happening this rising? Oh, wow. Reverend Cindy, she said, the waterworks already started. And for some of us, it actually physically happened to the Brown family. The waterworks started. As we're stepping into, yeah, you're still home, right? So welcome, welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Ocala, this place where we gather together, learn together, grow together, ebb and flow together. What? Oh, I don't have a clicker. It's okay. It's all right. You know, we already started today. How many? Yes, I know. They are back there. Welcome to those online. If you're watching in real time or later on, welcome, welcome. Center for Spiritual Living Ocala. How many people have never been here before for a center? Welcome. Thank you so much for coming in and having bravery. You know, we do look a little different from the outside. So, you know, when people first pull up, they're like, wait, am I in the right spot? And then to walk through the door, yeah, you know, let's face that. It's a little different. So welcome for coming in and joining us today. We love that people come in and try us and then, you know, lend their energy to this space. Our mission here is that we embody and share truth principles and spiritual practices that empower us to awaken to the power and presence that lies within and all around us so that we may facilitate spiritual healing and the elevation of our individual and collective consciousness. This is my spot. Yeah, that's why I'm here. That's why I gather with these people, you know? Yeah. And our vision is that we are a thriving New Thought community dedicated to spiritual growth and practice, sacred activism, and the transformative love that reveals our interconnectedness and oneness. And that is our vision. And what is sacred activism? It is the intersection of consciousness and action. It is a place where prayer and service activate love and spiritual principles become lived practice. Sacred activism is how we show up as a beneficial presence in the world. Hear, hear. Right? We all know that there's prickly stuff out there. You know, I don't want to poke people and I don't want to be poked. So can we all just step into ways to police ourselves, right? So that is why we do this, and this is how come we gather together. And so we choose these values together. I invite you to say them with me out loud if it rings true for you. Wholeness of spirit, spiritual and personal growth, collaborative, synergistic community, abundance and prosperity, love and compassion, appreciation and gratitude, peace and balance, power of freedom, diversity and inclusion, generosity. Thank you so very much for that. And we keep trying, we keep coming up with new ones because Cindy sends it out and says, okay, everybody, what's your values again? And we gather them again every 10 or so years, don't we? To make sure that we're walking the walk, man. To say it and then live it is two very different things. What are we doing today? We have spiritual growth in practice, and sometimes you need a support system. Professionals who do this kind of thing. They go to college, they pick it apart, they bring it to your plate so that you may grow. Then you don't have to go through all of that to learn the tools, right? Especially people in this kind of movement doing this work. I'm a nurse, registered nurse. You know how many people still ask me if I'm still a nurse? Because I don't wear scrubs. I'm still a nurse, yes. I have a business about all around that, yes. And in this teaching, in this platform, we have something called a spiritual mind treatment. So it was on Wednesday, I went to book club, and Norma said, you should let Donna pray or lead the meditation, because the way that we do it does something. It's the 5 steps of treatment that we use here. And so every now and again, we want to recognize that we have that. It's also called affirmative prayer. So we'll do it and say affirmative prayer. And sometimes we'll raise people's recognition to it. But spiritual mind treatment is a thing, and I think it would be very appropriate today because we're talking about grief. That thing that nobody wants to feel. Grief. It hurts. So that's how it passes through. And there are rules to it. And so I feel like, yeah, let's just put some treatment there, some affirmative prayer. I don't know, you may be grieving something in your world. Right now, I'm standing and waiting because I know that damage happens to my island when hurricanes happen. So grief is knocking on my door. But it's okay, because I'm in waiting. I'm at the first part of grief. And I'm recognizing it and taking care of my body as a result. So I just came in from grounding on this beautiful land, so thank you for my community, the GGs out there who created that butterfly garden so I may sit there. Yes, thank you so much. So let us do that now. Let's just step into spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer. I invite you to, if you're one that likes to ground, you can either get into lotus position, maybe take your shoes off, put your feet on the floor. Let your body get comfortable in your chair. Because it's such a heavy subject for some folks, let's just know that you're safe in the room right now. If something comes up for you through this conversation today, when Nikki and Reverend Cindy starts talking about this, you're safe in your seat as the feelings and the emotions, the movement starts to happen in your form. Allowing your heart to just be recognized that there it is, it's beating. And sometimes I put my hand there. The perfection of divine energy is here, beating. I don't have to do nothing. I recognize the allness that is here, the one wonderful source. This energy lives in and through all things. This energy that keeps the planets aligned, the sun in just the right spot, the air moving so I may breathe. Symbiotic movement that is the everythingness. I recognize this. And since this is everywhere present, divine intelligence that makes the whole thing happen, I recognize that I am sitting in the space that's a part of the everythingness. I too am a part of that which is nature, moving and vibing, breathing, vibrating in this spot, having my beingness, walking, talking, hugging, laughing. I also recognize that the allness that is divine energy, that's divine right order, is always moving, upward, moving, changing, like the seasons change. With grace and ease, the leaves fall back to the earth, only to be then transformed again, transmuted back up. And as I sit in this spot, and as the breath comes into my form, through my lungs, back out of my form, that symbiotic movement that joins the dance, that is the everythingness, is also assured. Divine right order is the essence of the everythingness. And so because I know that that is the truth of being for me, I know it's true for everything else that lives and exists in this experience that is life. Divine right order is in back of all of it, including my human story. And as people come in and move out of their own story, the beginning, the end of their story, the entire thing, divine right order, is in back of all of it. And whatever is showing up to be grieved, for my body to feel the vibration that is my human story as I walk and have my being, I know that divine right order is in back of all of it, the symbiotic movement. And I can rest in that which is trust. I can rest knowing that my heart is going to beat the next beat without me forcing anything. I can sit in the wait as I watch right order and hurricane pass through the island of my home. I can sit in the peace, in the knowingness, and I can celebrate knowing that the sun rises tomorrow and the reset occurs and new growth is assured and divine right order continues always expanding itself. I'm so grateful for knowing this about my body, the growth that is happening here. I'm grateful for every other being in this room who can hear the echo of my voice. I'm grateful for knowing that all things is moving in back of everything I can see or cannot see. I'm grateful for releasing all of my worry into the great unknown, into the law, knowing that it's already done. And celebrate the outcome, Ashe, and so it is. Our inspirator, Reverend Cindy Grimes.
Thank you, Donna. What beautiful treatment. I always ask Donna to pray because she does it so beautifully. Right? We've been to church this morning already. So welcome. I'd like to add my welcome to all of our first-time visitors. Raise your hands again so I can see you. Awesome, awesome. Thank you for being here. You know, every week at CSL Ocala is different. We're different already, but then every week is different. So first week of the month, we do some type of practice. The second week is our most traditional Sunday, for those of you who are used to church. Third week is circle conversations, and fourth week is kind of a mix, a hodgepodge of things. I envision it being kind of a podcast, or maybe it's, I think what we did last month was watch a video together and have a conversation. But it's all about building community. And so we've had this wonderful young lady as part of our community now for a little bit. Her name is Nikki Immediato. She is a licensed mental health counselor and therapist, and she actually is renting space in our building. How many of y'all knew that we had a therapist renting space here? Isn't that wild? You just found out yesterday. How incredible that is. We've been flying under the radar for a long time, but it's time for us to come out and be in the light, don't you think? Yes, so come on, Nikki, come on. And I just found out that Nikki has been a therapist for 10 years. So she and I have the same anniversary, sort of, kind of, don't we? Yes.
Good morning.
I became a minister in 2015, and she became a therapist in 2015. So isn't that fun?
Yes, I did.
Yes, yes, yes. So, yes, so we're talking about letting go. That's what the month is about, right? Is letting go. The fall season, it lends itself to that, doesn't it? And a spiritual practice, I think it's so important because, as I said earlier in the month, you take a breath and you go, that was a really awesome breath, right? But you have to let it go. You don't go, I'm holding that one forever because it was so wonderful. No, it's part of the ebb and flow of life, right? That we take things in, but we have to let things go. And even the good stuff. And sometimes that's really, really difficult. And I know we teach what we need to learn. And I feel like I've been grieving now for some months. And this week was especially difficult, not just personal stuff, which is going on too, but things on the national scene. And so I just felt like this was a good opportunity for all of us to take a deep dive into what it means to grieve and the importance of it. And we have an expert right here. And so I'm just going to let you tell the group, tell everybody, it's a friendly audience, about yourself. Like, what made you become were you one of those people that knew when you were a kid you wanted to be a counselor?
Yes,
And
yeah.
what went into that?
Well, a lot of people think that a lot of therapists become therapists because they're trying to fix themselves. And maybe that is true for a lot of people, but for me, I had like this message from Spirit. I think I was about 5 years old, and I saw somebody getting therapy like on TV or something, and I was like, that's what I'm supposed to do. And then along my journey, anytime I would think about doing something else, one time I wanted to be an astronaut, and I spent the night at my friend's house, and then I called my parents. I said, you have to come pick me up. And I said, man, if you can't stay down the road, you cannot leave the planet. So you better rethink this plan. So it's like, okay, I'll be a therapist. So, I had crazy ideas like that, and Spirit was like, but we need to do this, and that's where you belong. So it was a long journey, but I just followed it, and I'm happy I'm here and physically here, and I found you guys, and I'm also part of the community, which is a wonderful, beautiful community and experience, so thank you for that.
Awesome. So I just found out we had something else in common because I wanted to be an astronaut too. But I wanted to be the first woman, and when that couldn't happen, it was like,
Yeah.
How fun.
Yeah.
So tell us about what makes your practice a little different, because you do some therapies and some things that not everybody does, and it's very
yes.
somatic oriented, right?
Yes. So a lot of therapy is cognitive behavioral based, but I do like to be mind, body, spirit connected. I found that because I specialize in trauma and EMDR, so eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And a newer technique is neuroemotional technique, and that's a muscle testing that basically we want your mind and your heart to agree. And I want them to marry each other and be in alignment. And so why not talk to your body and ask your body? Because if we could think it through, then we might not have all of the struggles that we have all the time. So sometimes we need input from other systems. So I like to ask, what are you feeling? Where are you feeling it? What does it feel like? How intense is it? So we could really locate that, and we can communicate with your body and your mind. And I found out that through my personal experiences being a therapist, that the people that do struggle the most are the ones that I've found professionally that don't know what happens after we go, or where do my loved ones go, or my pets, or what's happening to them? What's going to happen to me? What's the point of all this if I don't know what's going to be? And so that's where a lot of the times the helping somebody find their spirituality really is important, and what aligns with them and what agrees with their heart and mind so they can be in alignment. And then I do notice anxiety does tend to alleviate, which is beautiful to watch. So I'm always appreciative of watching everybody's healing process.
So you're saying actually that a lot of your clients come in because they are grieving different
Oh,
things.
definitely. And I think a lot of traumas, even if there's not death, is grief. I mean, a lot of things have a beginning and an end, whether that is a job, a home, a relationship, a stage of life. So I think most of life is grief, and it's just the steps and the processes that we go through and the things that we learn that heal us and make us feel better, and our support systems that can help get us through that. And also us being able to know what we need and asking for it. Very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go back there, but before we do that, I would like to hear a little bit more about EMDR. Are you
Okay.
all familiar with EMDR? Yeah, so, yeah, just tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay. So I'll just talk about a little bit of the assessment so you might get a little bit of what that might look like if you were to go through that yourself. So we would pick a memory, and we call that the target memory. So I always suggest picking the most intense one or the earliest one you could remember, because from my experience, your mind kind of works forwards. It's harder to go backwards. So if we can go the youngest, we can find what we call all of your associations, so thoughts, feelings, body sensations that come up associated with that target memory, that's in the memory network. So I kind of think of it like a constellation in the sky. So you have all these stars, and you're trying to figure out how are they connected. And that's why when you're upset and something is very distressing and you can't think it through, and you have tearful spells or flashbacks or intrusive thoughts or nightmares or panic attacks, it's kind of like you're looking at a constellation and parts are pieced together, but there's parts missing. And so your brain is scanning, literally scanning, trying to figure out those missing pieces. And so EMDR just helps you, with a professional, focus in a safe space, which we do have some preparation to make sure that everybody feels safe and comfortable. And so then I'll ask you to bring up the memory. And some people can't see images, but that's a little rare. And then we're even more body focused. But most people can. And so if we can get, which sometimes is hard because people want to watch things like a movie when we're looking at memories. So I have to ask, are you watching yourself or are you inside of yourself? I want you to be inside of yourself, your 5-year-old self, your 10-year-old self, your 20-year-old self, trying to experience what you were experiencing in that moment, what you were looking at in that moment, what did you smell in that moment. And it can be difficult because you have one foot in the past and one foot in the present. So sometimes that can be a struggle that we have to work through. And then we get into the somatic piece. What emotions are you feeling right now being in that moment? So it's today, but sitting inside of that past self. And so we evaluate your emotions, and then where do you feel it in your body, which can be difficult. And I have found that it is a lot more difficult for men than it is for women. I guess our society doesn't let them feel the same that we do, you know. And then we find out, what is your negative belief that you have about yourself, because you had to experience that and you had to go through that, and whatever happened from that. And then we rate it. We call it the SUD scale, subjective units of disturbance, 0 to 10. And then we find out what is the positive belief you would prefer to feel about yourself, instead of what you actually feel. So that's our goal. And I don't know who made this scale. I don't know who made the rules, but the scale's different. It's 1 to 7. So 1 is completely false and 7 is completely true. And then we start inducing, well, you can do it earlier, but the bilateral stimulation. So I have buzzers. I call them, they kind of are like egg-shaped. I call them my baby dragon eggs because they look like dragon eggs to me. But some therapists have a light bar, and the light goes back and forth. Or you can use sound, and there's a certain level of hertz that I was actually reading about that's more beneficial because there's a lot of... That does sound familiar. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
Say it into the mic.
Oh, 432 you said? Was that what it was? Yes. So there's a particular hertz that's better because if you Google EMDR sounds, they have tons of them. They have like little balls that go across the screen. But, you know, it depends on how big your screen is because you want your face to be straight, but you want your eyes to go as far to the right and left as possible. So what that does is we're trying to connect the two hemispheres of the brain, and we're trying to mimic your rapid eye movement that happens in your sleep cycle because that's where all of our processing happens. So sleep is very, very important. I know everybody tells everybody that, but sleep is very important. That is where, remember when we used to defrag computers? I don't think we have to do that anymore, but, so, yeah. Oh.
No problem. No, it just put me in mind immediately of a practice that I do when I was trained in Kundalini Yoga, and it's Wahe Guru. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah,
practice?
yeah.
Okay, and that's what it put me in mind of. Is that similar to the response that in that tradition they have you? Wahe Guru are the words that they use in the native language, but you look as far as you can one way, and then as far as you can the other way, and then over the tip of your nose. And they actually had me look at from different perspectives, not just from being in the body, but now from a fly on the wall during that time.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, and then
Yeah.
from even somebody outside the room. So I noticed that
I'm gonna have to
helped.
read about that.
Yeah,
I'm
it helped,
intrigued.
like, instead of just this way, it did
Yeah.
this way too. So
That
I do
sounds
trauma
amazing.
release, and I was really appreciative when you got to the part about rewriting that core belief.
Yes,
Because
that's
people think the traumatic
important
incident,
part.
yeah, and when you said that, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
you are doing wonderful stuff, so thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna have to read about that. So, the sleep, yes. So what happens when we go through something upsetting or traumatic is sometimes it just doesn't defrag when we go to sleep those next few nights the way it's supposed to. So we're gonna do that while you're awake. So usually after a session, people are very tired, sometimes more easily triggered. So we wanna make sure that you have rest planned, you know, you're around safe people, that we've built you up some good coping skills that you feel comfortable using and will use and work for you. And then, so while the bilateral stimulation is going, I'll say, I want you to sit in that memory, and I want you to let your brain go wherever it's going to go without judging it. And sometimes things are going to change, and sometimes they won't. And sometimes that's going to be a body sensation. Sometimes that is going to be an image. And they may not make sense because now your brain is starting to scan, right? So anything that is in the memory network of that negative core belief is going to start coming up. And sometimes people switch from their limbic system, where it is their fight or flight, which is what I try to keep you in, to their prefrontal, the front, logic, reasoning, judgment, decision making, which if that part could figure it out, we wouldn't have to, you know.
Right.
So I have to sometimes revert them back because they're like, why is this coming up? It has nothing to do. And we just have to just go with where our brain takes us, because our brain knows where we need to go to heal, and we just need to trust it, and we just need to give it a little bit of space sometimes.
So this gives me some insight into why dreams are so crazy, right?
Oh, dreams are
Because
so
you're-
telling.
Because your brain is trying to defrag whatever the situation was.
Yes.
So it's pulling from here, pulling from there. And what you're doing in a session is mimicking that dream state
Yes.
where you're in REM and you're going back and forth. That is freaking brilliant.
Yeah. And so that's what oh, and you will have vivid dreams. Most people do, even people that can't remember their dreams. So I like to say, if you have a dream, you don't even have to remember everything that happens in the dream. Even if you're not in therapy or doing EMDR, it's what stands out in the dream to you? How did you feel in the dream? How do you feel when you wake up? What do you feel in your body? And then you'll figure it out, because, you know, you can look it up. What does this mean? What does that mean? But, you know, it's what does it mean to us?
Yeah.
Because we all have life experiences that deal with places, people, things, animals, and we tie meaning to that. So what it means to you, it may not mean to somebody else. So you have to really be curious, you know. The person has all the answers inside of them. We just have to help them find it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and that makes me think there's so many things that happen. Like the same thing could happen to two different people.
Oh, yes.
And one person is going to interpret it one way and somebody else is going to interpret it another. Somebody goes down this rabbit hole and it, you know, it really takes them down and can destroy somebody, whereas it builds up another person. So what I'm seeing or understanding is that you're giving people the option to give a new meaning to their story.
Yes.
Right? That can
Yeah.
then pull them out of that, and instead of being in the depths of despair, to realize like, wow, you know what, I'm a badass. I just got through that.
Yes.
You know, because the truth is, the thing that happened is back here.
Yes.
It's not now, right? But every time we go into that trauma state or you get triggered, it's like your body, your brain, your everything
Yes.
is back there again when really we're not.
Your brain does not know the difference. Your brain does, it's like, I guess we could say it's like a time capsule. It thinks it's happening now, you know? So when we think about things, yeah.
I was just wanting to know about people going through current. You know, if they're currently going through it and it's not something that their brain
Oh, yeah.
has thought about, is there stuff they can do in real time, especially if they have, you know, because we're talking about some, like in your peace building that you're doing, you know, the conflict. If they're facing it right then, you know, is there stuff they can do to help them regulate in real time? And I'm wondering if this kind of thing that you're talking about could actually be beneficial. Let's say somebody doesn't have anything they're working on. They've been through their therapy sessions. You know, is it beneficial to be able to still come and sit with you and learn something that they could maybe use in real time?
Oh, definitely. There is a protocol for current events. And so in our little manual, which not everything, you know, real life is not like a book, but so when something is happening currently that is traumatic or feels upsetting, we call it acute stress disorder. So textbooks-wise, if it passes 90 days and then you start having panic attacks, nightmares, flashbacks, then it can transition into some type of PTSD. But with grief, which I don't see this as true, but in our book it says, you know, past 12 months is clinical and it's then complicated grief. Because I guess their thought process is, let's get through all the first holidays, the first anniversaries, the first time you're coming home and they're not there and things are changing, the first time you go to that vacation spot or favorite place, you know. But there is a current events protocol. But you know what I find sometimes? We're still looking for what that negative belief is. And we are still exploring the memory network or the constellation, which the memory network is the neurons in your brain. So that's what we're also doing is neurons that fire together, wire together. And we're creating that electrical impulse. So the more you use that pathway, behaviorally, mentally, emotionally, that electrical impulse in your neurons or between them is going to get faster and faster. And you're not going to go that negative path, and those other neurons with negative thinking or hurtful thinking, anxiety, depression, they're going to atrophy. If we don't use it, like a muscle, it will atrophy. And so that's what we're doing, is strengthening new pathways.
Hi,
Hi.
my name's Darlin, and I associate grief with someone that has died. But what about if you're grieving someone that is living?
Oh, definitely.
And that's what I'm doing.
That is, I guess, I don't think it's like estrangement. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm grieving my mother, and she's not dead.
Right.
She'll be 94.
Is she different? Yeah. She's what? I'm sorry?
She'll be 94, and I'm really grieving her.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, that's why I mentioned thinking grief is just a everyday part of life, because people change, things change, cities change,
Sure.
you know? And so things don't have to die for us to grieve. I think that that's normal.
Could you, how do you define grief? Because you're right, I think, what you're saying is so
Yeah.
true, that, and to your point, that we can grieve relationships that didn't turn out the way we want them to turn out, right? Like, this is the life I was supposed to have.
Yes.
Not this one that I'm in. Or, has anybody been through any of that stuff, where you're looking like, wow, it's not supposed to be like this.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of ways that we can grieve
Yes.
that don't have to do with a person necessarily passing. It's the grief of the loss of an ideal or a wish or a dream, I think, could be just as hurtful as somebody passing.
Very much so.
Yeah.
One thing that comes up for me, like thinking guilt, would be survivor's guilt.
Yes.
So like you being there, so I mean losing somebody, that's like a double whammy kind of thing.
Yeah. I would call that a
So-
little complicated. Yeah.
Yeah, it figures.
Yeah. Living with the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, if only, and we rewrite these narratives in our brain and in our heart that if I did this, if I said this, if I ran this test, if I wasn't here and I was there, and at the end of the story, it would have been what we wanted, or the person or the thing would have been alive, and most of the time it's just not true,
It's
So
also not helpful.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't change the fact that
Yes.
this thing is truth and what happened. So we can go back and ruminate, which is what you're talking
Right.
about, right? Where you go over it and over it and over it. And then those neurons are wiring together.
Yes.
And you're no longer going A, B, C, D. You're going A, C, D. And then you're going A to D. And you think this is just how it is. But it is because you have trained yourself
Yes.
through that constant going over it and over it and over it.
Yeah.
And so what we need is a break.
Yes,
Right?
and the simplest thing you can do, I learned there was many things, but one thing I really, really liked that came from Al-Anon was if you're having a rough day or something happens and you don't know what to do, you do what you were going to do anyway. What were you going to do before this just happened? So that way we can break the rumination pattern. Were you going to go for a bike ride? Were you going to do homework? Were you going to, go to work? But still give yourself grace and space of, yes.
I love that Cindy brought this to us, being a possibilitarian. Because when you look at all of possibility,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't possibly know every scenario that could have transformed, right? We live in that quantum universe. So I'm like, no matter how much I sit and ruminate on
Right.
what could have, I'm just following one vein of possibility, and I'm sitting in that one vein and doing damage to my body. Because it's cortisol, adrenaline, and here I am in inflammation. So I have to then say, I'm a possibilitarian. I can't possibly see every outcome, so I'm just going to let myself sit in the waiting, or sit in the forgiveness, or sit in the, you
Yeah.
know, waiting for it to pass thing. Sometimes I have to cry it out, and then once I'm done crying, I'm like, okay, and then what's my next step, you know? And that's where you end up. But you have to go through the only way to get there is to have gone through the okay, you know, and it's getting really your house in order, which is your past traumas, and sitting down and really looking at it and taking yourself as a friend, that part of you
Right.
that went through whatever, as a friend, and holding them close. So that when life lifes, you know, there it is. It's lifing.
And I think it's really important to say that we have to go through it. You don't get to go around it.
Yeah.
And too many of us are trying to put that, you know, I don't look
Yeah.
at that, I don't think about it, I'm going to set it back here. And you can set it back for a little while. Maybe, you know, part of your brain isn't thinking about it, but there is a part of you that knows. And there is a part of you that is feeling it, and it is showing up in our systems, in our body.
Oh,
Can you talk about
yes.
that?
Oh, yes, yes. So depression, sadness causes inflammation. Long-term inflammation causes autoimmune. Autoimmune causes chronic pain, you know, and along with sugar causes cancer, you know. So it really is bad for our brains. You're wiring those neurons together that then are going to grow and branch off and have more negative emotion feeling neurons. So I think it's okay to reflect, but we don't want to get stuck in the rumination. You know, we have to figure out what works. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
So that's when, for me, like somatic movement
Yes.
comes in,
Oh,
is moving,
proves very
moving through
healing.
it, going through it, and like playing drums too.
Yes.
Like, so that's double thing. So to bring
Yes.
it back up, so that's what what tool I use.
Yeah,
So
because
I
you're
kinda
doing
understand.
something with it.
Right, instead
And
of
some-
like sitting
yes.
in the trash.
So when they study that, dancing, chanting, drumming, all of those things, yoga, breath work,
Yeah.
So Nikki, oh, that's louder than I thought. Hi. Nikki, when somebody can't tap into whatever it is that's got them all screwed up, how do you
That's a great way to put it.
how do you help get them there? Like, do you go back to what's your first good memory, or like how do you help get them to, because they're probably thousands of micro memories that
Oh,
came off
yes.
that
Right.
seed memory.
exactly.
So how do you get them to the seed?
So if somebody is really struggling, and usually it's because they're very scared, because it is emotionally painful. And I don't think it was exactly grief of death. There was one study I read that grief of the loss of a relationship, when they measure it in pain units, physical pain units, it's equal to a broken arm. So I don't want to put them through that if they're not ready. I don't want to push, right? So, because then we're just adding more trauma. So that's when I will maybe work a little backwards. Yeah, like maybe we'll pick a smaller, more recent something. And then once they get through the process and they have positive results, usually they are able to start going backwards. It takes a little bit longer, but you know, everybody's journey is different. And so I just need to honor that. But I have some other modalities, EFT, emotional freedom technique. I don't know if anybody knows about that. It's meridian point tapping, so I usually teach that first. Yeah. Yes, yes. And so neuroemotional technique works on the same meridian points. That's not as highly known. Usually chiropractors do that. And then as it evolved, it moved on to acupuncturists and therapists. Anybody with a clinical license can
So
do
that's
it.
the,
So the
thing.
EFT taps onto your meridian, like your chi, basically, to help the energy flow. So what neuroemotional technique does is I'll use your arm as a lever, and you have a point in between your eyebrows, which will let me know if you're testable. So I'll test, and I'm looking for a difference in your muscles, so that way I can communicate with your body. So I know what yes and no is when I ask questions. And so me being they call it in the training a mind doc or a body doc, so the chiropractors or the acupuncturists. So I usually use a statement. You can use a feeling entry, which sometimes I'll use a memory as I want you to sit in that memory. And then, if your muscles are weak, I know there is something stuck in your body, and I'm going to try to find what meridian it's stuck in. And so we can use your pulse points in your wrists, which acupuncturists are much more familiar with that, or there's spots on your body. And so I'll have you repeat the statement, and then as you're repeating the statement, I'll test each meridian point. And then once I know where it's stuck, then each meridian point has a list of emotions that usually get stuck there. So then I'll test through the emotions, and then when I find the emotion, I'll say, okay, how does losing your job correlate with sadness? And then we test, is it your sadness? Is it somebody else's sadness? Because we absorb emotions from other people sometimes, and if we're not aware, we can take it on as our own. So then we work that out, whether it's yours or somebody else's. Yeah?
Hey, Nikki.
Hi.
Are you of the opinion that everyone can benefit from therapy, some form of mental therapy? Because none of us get through life unscathed.
Right. Well, I don't think that every form of therapy is the traditional. I think everybody can benefit from some type of healing. Some people do say they don't benefit from therapy, but most really, really do. And it's finding, I think, more than the modality is the right person.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, the person that's going to be inquisitive about you and not put their judgments on you unintentionally, because most therapists would not do that intentionally. But, we all have our own experiences and biases, and, when people communicate, sometimes they don't always realize what they're actually communicating. And people can pick up on that, the energy in the room. So I think it's finding the right community, finding the right therapist, finding the right support, and then also asking for that support when you know what it is.
I think the trust is so important.
Oh, definitely.
One thing before we go to another question.
Yeah.
I know that, I'll say for myself, and it's probably true for everybody, that we don't like to go to those difficult emotions because you feel it again, and it doesn't feel good, and you don't want to feel that, so you keep pushing it down and pushing it away. But the truth is that if you dive into the emotion and feel it, that what is it, anxiety, if you really you're in the anxious moment, I've heard it's something like 4 minutes or something like that. I mean, it's like really the amount of time that you're actually in that feeling, if you actually went into it, is like nothing. And then when you do that, then it's like, it's gone. Like, wow, I can handle it. So can you speak to that?
So I think why it feels like it's so prolonged, which is why EMDR kind of works the way it works, is because one thing leads you to something else, leads you to something else. And so I think we group it together like, oh my gosh, I have to tackle this big mountain instead of doing it step by step.
Yeah.
And I like that EMDR is like, let's just look at the associations as they come. And then I do like the neuroemotional technique because they don't have to, I find my ADHD people sometimes struggle with EMDR. They feel like they're too scattered, which is very rare. I know there's a lot of social media reels, but only 10% of the population has personality disorders, so they can struggle if you have a personality disorder. And OCD, because they get stuck on the thoughts. So that's where the NET and the tapping really help.
So that brings me to my next question. How do you know what modality you're going to use with each person? Somebody comes up to you and like, I don't know what my problem is, but I'm fucked up. I need help. Like, where do we start?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you asked that.
Love her.
That's where the art comes in, right? The art and science.
Yeah. have been doing this a little while, so now a lot of people come to me already knowing what I do. So a lot of people know that that's what they want. So in the beginning, and especially being a new therapist, it's trial and error until you find your niche, and just being open and accepting that not everybody's going to be a good fit. Whether it's the most, because I can do EMDR with somebody and another therapist can do EMDR with somebody, and it's much more effective because they're a better fit. It's the same protocol. Maybe they feel safer. Maybe I remind them of somebody. Maybe I remind them of a sister or an ex-girlfriend, or, my voice sounds like a teacher they hated when they were little, something that is beyond my control, Yeah. Yes.
Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
I'm Bridget.
Nice to meet you.
So I've been through EMDR,
Yeah.
and I found it very helpful, extremely helpful. And it's really interesting because I had an experience just recently of something that I thought I had, solved, and, it was over and done with. And yet, here it is again.
Yeah.
And so, but I find that EMDR was just very helpful to me, and that I was okay with going through all the deep feelings, and actually afterwards, I felt like so relieved, like this weight was taken away from my shoulders, and
That's wonderful.
and I just look forward to it all the time. So
Yeah.
and everything you're saying, it's like wonderful. Like,
Aw, thank you. You know how I know when it's getting better? When somebody comes in and they're like, it's a 7, and it's been like 4 sessions of EMDR, right? And then we're doing the associations, and they're like starting to tell me positive things. But it's a 7. So I have to let that go, right? And then when they get to the end, they're like, oh. I said, well, what is it now? And they're like, oh, it's a 2. But I never tell them what it was the session before, because I don't want them stuck in their thinking brain, Or sometimes it's the opposite, where they're crying and they're, right? Yeah, and they're like, it's a 2. Doesn't bother me. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just let your brain go wherever it's gonna go, right? Or we'll do the NET, and their arm is like, zoom. And I'm like, okay, well, it's stuck somewhere. Are you gonna let me find where it's stuck? Is that okay? So, but then they get curious, because even sometimes big, strong people, because I'm not that big. And so when I'm pressing, they're like, how'd you do that? And I'm like, I didn't do it. Your body tells me. It doesn't matter how strong you are. Or I'll let them practice on me with, my name, my favorite color, and I'll say, you do it. I'll show you.
So free? Do y'all know what she's talking about? The arm testing, right? Where you put your arm out, and so ask me a question, and if it's not
Yeah.
true, it goes
Fun.
down fast. Yeah. Very good.
When you're,
So you want to
Yeah.
ask me I don't know.
Yeah, we can try that.
right.
We may need to turn towards each other.
Keep it, yeah.
Yes, we'll do that. We'll do something neutral. All right. Okay, so we'll keep it light. All right, let's make sure you're testable. Did you drink water today?
I did.
Okay, good. Because if you're dehydrated, sometimes that doesn't work. Okay, so you're going to hold whichever arm out that you wanted, and then put one finger in between your eyebrows for me, okay? And then I want you just hold your arm strong. Don't let me push it down, all right? Okay, now release from your forehead. Okay, hold strong. All right. I don't know if you guys noticed the difference. One goes down way further, right? Okay, so let's pick say a statement that is true for your life. And it could be neutral. like you're the minister here.
I'm the minister. Yes, I am the inspirator of CSL Ocala.
Yes, okay. So say it as I try to press, okay? And hold your arms strong for
Sure.
me. Okay. Good.
I am the inspirator of CSL Ocala.
Very strong. Okay, so now say, I'm an archaeologist.
I'm an archaeologist.
See the difference there?
Okay.
So now if it was something we were working on, like an emotion or a negative belief, then I would map it out on her body and find out where it's stuck.
Okay.
That's great.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's very fun.
Thank you so much for that demonstration.
Yeah.
I personally, in my practice, I practice emotion code and other things as well. So we actually speak a lot of the same language, and I'm enthralled with what you're doing. You just did an example of muscle testing on her. As a practitioner,
Right.
I've gotten to where my muscle testing is just internal, so I can go straight to that
That's
seed, if
amazing.
you will. And what I wanted to express was that there is hesitation that she's been mentioning about approaching something that's trapped or stored in your body. But I want to actually extend not even the relief that that Cindy mentioned when you do finally let go of it and go through it, but it is actually pleasurable and it feels good.
Yes.
When you have had anger trapped in your body for so long and you release it, it's like writing a new contract with it. We deserve anger when we're actually mad, but don't come back until I need you. And what I've noticed too is that this is going to take it a step further. The same way that I share a smile on the sidewalk and then you smile and you smile at somebody else, your negative, perceived negative, right? You already know where I'm going with this. They travel too. So the minute that you release anger and, oh, that felt good to be mad. And now I'm walking on the street, I'm going to witness 3 more times, whether it's in a Hallmark card, on a radio station, or somebody else acting out that anger. And so now I have to find gratitude for it because of the separation from my physical body somatically, that it's now going away, but also just finding appreciation for those negative emotions and where they belong.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's why we find the negative belief. Because when we have an experience, good or bad, it's like putting on new glasses, right? And so now we have this lens that we see and walk through the world with. And we're looking subconsciously for the beliefs that we have, negative or positive, that prove what we believe. So by changing the belief, which is the root, then you change what you see in people, experiences, and that's what you're talking about.
You change the outcome of the story.
Yes, you
You're
change
changing
your
what the
narrative.
story means. That the story is still the same, the thing still happened, but you're giving it a new spin. you
Yeah,
know?
and we're taking away the physiological electrical charge, you know?
Right. It's like shaking it off.
Yeah, yeah.
Shake it off.
Well, this is going to be silly because I don't remember some of it, but the arm thing, there was this lady that I knew for many years, and she took me in my bedroom and told me just to get all kind of different articles of clothing with different colors. So she would be behind me and she would lay, let's say, blue. And then my arm would either hold it or go down all the way. But I forgot the purpose, so have you
Yeah.
heard of that?
What was she holding behind you?
She was laying colors on my shoulder.
I wonder if she was doing some type of chakra work or
I don't remember.
oracle work or
You
aura,
know,
something
It was
like
so
that.
you could see what would be nourishing, what colors worked for
Right.
you, what
But a
was
lot
good
of
for
these
your spirit.
modalities mix, you know, as the more things I learned as a therapist and things that I got trained in, I'm like, hey, that's the same in this, and that's the same in that. It's kind of like, you know, when you're in elementary school and your teacher's like, well, you can do the math problem this way, or this way. It's what way makes sense to you. What way resonates with you?
Right, right. Do we have another question?
So I was just curious, could you talk about sussing out where people feel these emotions in their bodies? What are some of the most common places for people to feel those
yeah, that's
emotions?
easy one. Yeah, yes. Everything here. Gut, and then and then if there's somebody that doesn't have a lot of, like, they don't like to talk, always their throat. Always their throat. Or if the trauma had to deal with somebody that always stifled you, didn't want to listen to you or hear you, your throat, for sure. So throat, chest, stomach, which I think the physical sensations are the big reason why people are afraid. Not feeling the actual emotion. It's the sensation that comes with the feeling that makes you feel icky, in your body.
Exactly.
Yes.
And you-
Sometimes, like people like me who do things like Reiki, that's what we're feeling. The vibratory field changes. It becomes hot. It becomes cold. It starts to pulsate a little bit. And you just know that there's something going on here. And just bringing my hands to a heart, just an
Yeah.
acknowledgement of someone's heart, that the heart may be hurting, just creates the release. And then they start to cry, or maybe they yawn, or maybe they pass gas. You'd be surprised. All kinds of
Yeah.
stuff happens in the form. Yeah.
It's wild.
So, Nikki, I kind of ask the hard questions.
Okay, let's do it.
Do you ever feel that there's a point where therapy is counterproductive?
I would think it when you start going in circles. Yeah, when you both are feeling like you're going in circles, then it can be. Or when somebody just comes to therapy to say they're coming to therapy. So they do the work when they're in front of me, but then they do nothing that we talk about when they go home.
Yeah.
So they don't make progress.
That's what I love about these modalities that you're
Yeah.
doing, is because it allows you to tap into your body and the
Yes.
physical sensation, so that when those sensations are no longer, or you understand how
Right.
to move them through, then you don't need to go to a therapist. You're not in
Yes.
therapy for 10
Forever.
years, forever.
Yes.
That's why I didn't want to become a therapist.
Yes, because people, they get attached.
Yeah. So I would
Yeah.
prefer to be able to go someplace. This is the challenge.
Yes.
This is my situation.
And let's solve
Would
it.
you help me solve it? And so it's kind of like going to the
Right.
doctor. You go, you get your
Yes.
checkup, you get your treatment. You might need a few weeks or months or whatever, but then it's done. And you're not
Right.
going for years and years, which is, I think, what people think of as therapy.
Yes.
That you're going for years and forever, and that was never going to be my thing, and I don't think it's
Right.
yours either.
She wasn't finished.
So again, none of us get through this life without
Nope.
winding up with some form of baggage.
Yeah.
And I'm of the conviction that if the baggage is not getting in your way as you're living your life, and you're living your life in whatever normalcy is for you, and you're a productive member of society, and you're taking care of business as you should, then there is, yes, you're going to have some things, right?
Right.
But
Why
unless,
touch it? Why poke at it, right?
unless those things are getting in the way of you living a productive life and living in your form of normalcy, then there is no need for therapy. Would you agree with that?
I would, and that's why when people come to me, I ask them with their symptoms, did you go see your primary care? And not only that, have you maybe, before we start actually digging into the trauma, because, I like to take some time to build rapport, make sure they feel safe. Let me see what their daily life looks like. Let me see them a few times and see what's going on, that maybe things that they're just not aware about. Not that people, I think, purposely omit information, but they think it's not important, so they don't share it. So I might be able to catch something. How's your diet? Do you not exercise? Have you had your hormones checked? Because our hormones can affect our feelings, which then give us a lens that we see the world through, which then create the trauma. When normally we might have been able to get through that thing with maybe we shed a tear or two, but we get through it, So I like to try to fish all that out. Are you sleeping? Are you eating? Are you not isolating? Can we see what's going on first before we start digging things up and poking? Because then we might be creating more problems, I think. Yeah, so I agree. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe you just need to put your feet in the grass. for a while,
Exactly.
right?
I tell people, have you been outside lately?
So beautiful.
Can you take a 15-minute walk for the next week and do some 4, 6, 8 breathing, and then I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
We'll see what changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to piggyback off of Justin. So the places in your body where you feel the trauma, can that be specific to what kind of trauma it is? I know you
I'm
kind
sure
of
it-
said a little bit.
I'm sure it can. One thing, with little kids, it's their feet. So little kids, I forgot to add that. So with little kids, so we'll be in the memory and they'll be like, I have to use the bathroom. I feel it in my feet. Because they want to run away. Yeah. So, but honestly, I really think it's still those areas. I mean, think about this is our life force, This is where everything that makes us, and their head. A lot of people always think that that's weird. They tell me my head. And I'm like, no, that's not weird. Because we carry a lot of tension in our face and in our scalp, so, yeah.
Hi, Nikki, I'm Ken.
Hi.
Just qualify here a little bit. 30 years ago, I was homeless, suicidal, and homicidal, drug addict, So I've done a lot of stuff, but one thing I'd like to go back to is where somebody asked you if sometimes therapy doesn't work. There's so many modalities out there, just yoga, just stretching. I mean, I was a yoga teacher for about 6 years. And sometimes in class, you'd actually hear a pop in somebody's body.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd start crying,
Yeah.
And also when I was a yogi too, they just always said I had healing hands, and I got to where I could put my hands on people and read what was going on. If I put my hand on your head, my brain would race. If you
Yeah. Yes.
If I put my hand on your throat, my throat would hurt.
Yes.
And if somebody's getting a lot of sore throats, there's something they want to say that they're not
Yes.
saying. And stomach aches, that can be money or sex, or it can be
Yeah.
lots of things. Anywhere down in here can,
Yeah.
and money and sex are so tied
They're
together.
survival, right?
Yeah, so a lot of stuff down in here, it's, but there's so many. My favorite work, I was telling somebody here, was Brian Katie's, asking that question, was your thought true?
Yeah.
And it was something, I went to Shalom yesterday, the park, and I was sitting there, and it had been a while since I actually sat and was the observer. And I watched what was going on and not judge it.
Beautiful.
And that's why I was found here this today. As soon as I got home, I was like, I got to find a spiritual place to go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
To practice the stuff I like,
Well, we're glad you found us.
Because there's with me, you're either growing or you're dying. There is no sitting still. I wouldn't let anything, I got baggage like everybody. And when I'm working with somebody, when they teach you, I was a counselor for a long time too, but they tell you, you got to keep your garbage in the corner, Put your Samsonite over in the corner and just, and that's hard to do too, not bring your own luggage into it, so.
Well, that's why therapists have therapists and ministers
Yes.
have
Yes.
ministers, and we
Yes.
all have mentors in our
And
go-to
the coach has a
people.
coach. Yep.
Everybody needs them. I don't care where you are in life.
Always.
Okay, I might be a little out of bounds because this is my first time here.
No.
But-
Go right ahead.
Well, because I'm going to go off track. And then I'll ask a question to you at the end.
Okay.
Because I'm sitting here listening to this from a spiritual level. because that's who and what I do. And as you were talking about, there's two of you can be therapists, and I walk in and I'm more weighing here or there, or just the idea, you keep saying curious and get curious. And from my perspective, that is our spirit. That is our guide, nudging us to overcome and work through the blockage that we created for ourselves to hold ourselves back on a spiritualistic level. Does that make sense to anybody? Okay, so you've slowed yourself down, and your guide is like going, okay, now it's time for us to heal. Some people go to a Reiki master, some go to a therapist, some talk to their reverend. But you also said that when you survey the situation, so to speak, your lingo doesn't resonate with me, but you said when you're trying to get the mind and the heart in tandem, that you talk to the body. Why aren't you talking to the soul as well? Because the soul is what guided them there in the first place. Does that make sense? Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not sounding
Well,
stupid.
I guess I think of them as all one, and one leads us to the other, to the other, to the other.
Okay, yes,
you know?
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
To blend all aspects of
Yeah.
self is the goal.
Is the goal, ultimately, yes.
Yes.
And I do recommend, go see a massage therapist, go see a Reiki, you know,
Yes, because
Yeah.
in my viewpoint, that's what we're all here to do, is to
Yep.
kind of open up our true path and our true
Yes.
self, and then we just be. We enjoy life, and we grow, and we expand, and we share and care. Does that make sense?
definitely,
Okay.
yeah, 100%. I think
Sorry.
it's fully in alignment,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm a little
and you
out of
know,
my element here.
But all therapists are,
The same thing, honey. You in your element here.
Yeah.
therapists come to their practice from their perspectives as well. You can go to a Christian therapist. You can go to a therapist that is an atheist. Or you can go to a therapist that's more spiritually oriented, as Nikki is, which is why she's a good fit for our space. You know, but we can all, everybody can have a place to go as they're looking for that.
I get what you're saying, because you're already in the spiritual space. You're
Yeah.
already accounting for the spiritual portion in that.
Well, I was in another space for 8 years, and I'll tell you, people will find you. Your energy is out there. So I was in a traditional office building before this, and they will find you. So you just put your energy out there, you know.
I think maybe we'll take one more question from the audience.
So this one's a little bit less about the modalities and more of a personal question. So after you're done facilitating your therapy, what's your preferred thing or place to unload?
Well, it depends on where I'm at. I've learned I have to find multiple because life is versatile, right? So I found when I'm here and I have a patient break, I like going on our little trail, and there's a bench. So me and the dog, who's my little therapy companion, who you see there, we'll go in the trail, and I'll just lay on the bench and look at the wind blow through the trees. Or if I'm at home, it might be my yoga mat, you know. And I like that because I can bring it anywhere, right? So it's like my traveling safe space. It's my little mat. I just have it rolled up, and if I don't know where to go, I go right on that mat, right?
Nice. I did have one more thing I wanted to kind of
Yeah.
bring it back or tie in, you know,
Yes.
on the personal level. That we've got John Moore and Amy coming next
Oh,
weekend for family. And
yes.
you mentioned constellations.
Yes.
So
Amazing.
that's where a lot of us got to know you, is during the family constellations. So I just wanted to know if you would share a little bit about that experience from
Oh,
your
yeah.
perspective, and maybe kind of let people know that this is happening next week, right?
Yes.
Can I add something real quick?
Sure.
Just to kind of piggyback off of what our new friend here was saying, there's so many people who are already working in the environment that is healthcare, who are a Nikki, or who are nurses at the bedside, who is a Donna. And so the encouragement is going out and building your team. if that provider does not see you and speak your language and gets what you're talking about, find another team member, but build the team so that when life comes around and throws you grief, you know your team member. Your team member is there for you, even if you only see them once a year. Plug in.
Definitely, yeah. I have many people that we work through something, and then years later, months later, you know, they take a break, and then they come back, and then we work through that, and then, or if they say, hey, I might want to try this type of therapy, just ask that provider. That's part of, there's plenty of healing and patients and clients and customers to go around. So, you know, if you ask whoever you're with for a referral and they have a negative, icky vibe that you get from that, then that's confirmation you weren't in the right space, right? So I always tell people, hey, let me know if something doesn't feel right. I'm happy to help you find what is right for you, because that's the ultimate goal. That's still part of treating somebody, you know, helping them.
I love that.
You can go on my website. There's a link, and it goes straight to me, and then I can send you intake paperwork.
And that's the name of it.
It's havencounselingocala.com. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't put that
Do we
up
have
there.
any cards here was the other
Constellation.
question.
No, I don't have any cards because I do everything virtual or
Okay.
online.
Okay.
You know,
So maybe
electronic.
afterwards, people can touch into you
Yeah,
after.
you can talk to me after. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So constellation, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So I did my own family constellation last time. It was last time John was here, right?
Last time they were here.
And then, well, first I was in somebody else's, actually, and then I got chosen. So what's funny is the gentleman that I was in his, and then I couldn't pick a person when it was my turn for my constellation for my brother. And then he was called to step into those shoes. We put footprints on the ground to represent my brother. And then halfway through, he said, hey, does anybody feel the need to step into these footprints? So I thought that was kind of cool because I was in his, and then he got called into mine. Yeah. And yeah, it was very magical. It was a magical experience. And it was vulnerable, but this is such a safe place, and everybody's so open and accepting and, you know, happy to be there to help you through your journey. You know, and to represent your family members that may not have been that for you. You know, it's a very cleansing experience, you know.
Yeah.
And I think learning about vulnerability is, you know, people think once you learn about it, you have to be vulnerable everywhere and with everyone. And, you know, I think part of that, the important part of that is learning which with grief, you know, we have moments when we can share with other people, and moments when, you know, you go to work or something, and you do have to suppress something. But note that it's there and bring it back up later and call a friend, come someplace like here, go to yoga, you know. So, you know, everything has its time and its space, you know, and we just want to honor that and give it that. And having that family constellation experience shows you, you know, you don't have to give your vulnerability to everybody.
Not everyone has earned it.
Exactly.
Not everyone deserves that.
Yeah, and so, but there are places where you can have it, and this is one of them. So
Yeah. Thank you.
everybody should try it.
For those who don't know, family constellations is a modality. It feels a lot like group therapy. It's not, although it is used in a therapeutic way.
Yeah, but
Right? We all sit in a circle, and the facilitator will choose one person to work with and do a deep dive. We'll ask you lots of questions about your background and how you grew up and things like that, and where do you want to have a breakthrough. And then the individual starts picking people to play those different, and nobody knows who's who. You're just, John, the facilitator, right, you know, like mom maybe is on the slip of paper, or the family business, or World War II. You don't know what's on there. You're holding it to your chest, and you pick somebody in the group to be a stand-in for whatever's on that. And people start playing off of each other energetically. And nobody
Yeah, you don't know either.
knows. Nobody knows who anyone is, and you become like moving chess pieces. It's amazing, and to your thank you for allowing so many of us to be part of that, because it is very vulnerable. And I'm so grateful that you felt comfortable enough to be able to do that, and that it helped you have a breakthrough. I know I have had massive breakthroughs with, in being part of other people's, having my own constellation, watching other people. It's just an amazing experience. And for anybody, I mean, I know there's a lot of stigma for some folks around going to therapy, and that was part of why I wanted Nikki to share about what she does, so that you can see if you've ever been on the fence or you're going through something and you don't know, you're afraid, just how easy it could be to sit with someone, to sit with her, and feel like you can, tell some of your stuff, and it's not going to be, you're not going to be judged for it, you're not going to come out feeling worse.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
And
thank
I will
you.
say, I think the family constellation will, whether you're in therapy or you're not ready to start therapy, or you never go to therapy, I think that it is, I'm trying to think of the word, but it's like a very small investment for a really big outcome. Things that would take probably sessions and sessions and months probably to bring out of somebody, because we have to just see things in action sometimes for it to click, Yeah. And yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you have a heavy bag and you just take it off. It's like you get rid of that heaviness and the baggage once you hit it.
Definitely. And sometimes they actually give you, like they gave me the backpack, you know?
Some people are tactile and they have to go through it that way in
Yes.
order for it to click. Some people can hear it and it
Right.
clicks. Some people have to actually physically move their body.
And I
it
had to
clicks.
physically give away the backpack. Yeah, we were doing the thing and I was like, this is so heavy. So he gave me a heavy backpack and told me to give it back. Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to say? Oh, one more question? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, just because you're on Family Constellations, I was that person that I'm not even going to put my name in the bowl because I don't have any stuff. Let somebody else do it, and then he said, even if you don't want to do it, you can pass if we pull your name. And, of course, I put my name in the bowl. I got picked. And I still, was thinking, I don't have any stuff. But then when I was telling my story from back childhood to now, John found some stuff. And it helped me actually open up my thoughts around my finances and my abundance.
Beautiful, beautiful. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
I guess maybe not as a professional, but just a member of this community, of thanking you all for having me and welcoming me and being a safe space.
Yeah. We got our tissues and all because we were talking about grief, and I've been teary all week,
But what I want to say about that is that we lift each other up, and you coming here and being in this space and doing this work that we got to pour into you as you were pouring into our community of Ocala. So thank you for coming to our space and being willing to
you.
come here.
Thank you.
letting people know who you are. Beautiful. Awesome, awesome. Well, we went longer than I was anticipating, so we're just going to breeze through the rest of this. Sure you're going to hang out for a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, stay. Stay where you are. We're not going to take that long. Sorry, I didn't put her website up there, but it's Haven Counseling.
Counseling Ocala, or if you Google my name, it comes up. I've been around long enough. I Googled myself. It's like pages and pages.
Yeah.
You'll find it.
But we just added the personal touch here. So this is the opportunity for us to share, in our generosity and our abundance. And I'm going to invite you all to say this affirmation along with me. I think I know it enough, but I don't have my glasses on. So, it is the nature of life to give of itself, as it is the trees' nature to bear fruit, and the flowers' nature to bloom. It is my nature to share the gifts of my time, talent, and treasure. I participate in the divine flow of life, giving generously and receiving abundantly. I am blessed, and I am a blessing. I am grateful, and so it is.
And so it
And
is.
so the baskets are going around. There's also prayer requests in there. If you have a challenge that is happening for you right now and you'd like some extra prayer support, myself, Donna, Norma, Reverend Peggy, we pray over those and put that great energy out there for you and just lifting our community. So please do let us know if there's anything going on.
And we also have
bring-
Reiki masters who can send energy. So
We
if you just say, hey, I'm going to be in a moment where I feel alone or vulnerable
Yeah.
and I just need to feel like my community is there, trust. All you have to do is stick it in there and let us know, and
There
we'll
you
be there
go.
with you.
And for those of you who don't have cash today or would like to give in another way or give later, we have this text to tithe, where once that number is programmed into your phone, you just put the amount. You know, you set it up with your bank and it goes from your account to ours. And it's a beautiful thing. Or you can go to cslocala.org. You have a question? Or
No, I
something?
have a statement.
Yes, ma'am.
We had 3 new people come in after we got started, so
So-
if you guys would raise your hand so we can
Welcome
acknowledge
to
you
our
and
new
thank you.
folks. Yes. Thank you to everybody that came today, especially to our new people. As Donna said, it could be a little intimidating to come into such a place. Yes, it's always the right time, always the right time.
And I wanted to say how cool it was just now to watch the 3 people that said this was their first time earlier clap for the new people. So that tells you how quickly you become family.
All right, awesome. Science of Mind magazine is out in the bookstore. I don't know if you know, but we are part of a larger movement, a much larger movement. There's centers for spiritual living all over the world. There's not that many in Florida, so we're really blessed here. But the magazine is a way to be in touch with those other centers, and it has affirmations and articles and all kinds of great stuff to add to your spiritual practice. Our newsletter is coming out, should be out this week. So be on the lookout for that. If you're not already on our mailing list, the sign-up sheet is over there on that table by the door. What else is going on? Events. Oh my gosh, we got to breeze through this. Family Constellations, you've heard all about that next week from 1:30 to 4:30. And after
There is
that,
a conscious exchange of energy.
Yes,
Funds-wise of $50.
yes, the suggested love offering of $50. I think this is a video. I'm not sure. Or maybe the video is after this. There we go.
Kala, it's me, Amy Steinberg. You know how much I love you, and I am blessed, honored, and excited to be bringing my new one-woman show, Ministar, a Cosmic Soul Revival, to you next Saturday night. Now, what is Ministar? Ministar is a one-woman show where I tell stories that go through the journey of the dollhouse of the soul, basically. And we are going to be looking at our own stories and parts and wholeness. So I hope to see you there. It's vulnerable, it's funny, it's a romp. I think you'll have a blast. So come on out, tell your friends. Some of you already saw it in Kansas City, and you can attest to its beautiful nature. So I love you, and I hope to see you at Ministar next Saturday night.
Love it. Gosh, there's that word vulnerable again. Something going on there. And it is a romp, as she said. Always. Let's see, that is coming in, that's a while from now, Armand and Angelina. So yes, that will be coming in December. They're great fun. They have. So beautiful. Yes. They're wonderful. Everybody that comes out, hangs out here is wonderful. Pat yourselves on the back. Great place. Volunteer opportunities, we always have them.
Yes, we are working on our
Donna, raise your
volunteers.
hand.
Hey guys, we are working on how the volunteer, how it flows for those of you who have been with us in the background. And so thank you thank you from the bottom of my wonderful heart here as we're moving and ebbing together. So if you're one that says, I want to be here and see what all is going on in the background, come and see me. We will plug you into one of the people who are doing all that stuff, the little people in the background. So yay to all my buzzing bees out there.
All right. Do we have any kids today? I don't think we do. Do we? We do.
We do?
Sorta.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In my belly? Is that what you're saying?
I'm gonna leave it to you.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Do you have an announcement or anything you want to say?
Well, I'm having a boy in April. Thank you.
We just had the reveal, so let's send some love, right? We do our song.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Yes.
Yes, I can't wait
Yes.
for you guys to meet him.
We rub our hands and we send a little love. And so this is what we do. We say, as we bless our children, we bless ourselves, everybody at the same time. We honor you. We see your light. May it shine on all that you do. And so
Thank
it is. And so it is. Awesome. And I just wanted to say one more thing about Nikki and you just, your whole aura, everything, how you spoke and all, just speaks to that idea of collaboration and synergy.
Very
and it's
important,
not a
yeah.
competitive thing, like I have to have all the clients or, you know, that
We
it's
need
like
each
whatever
other.
works. We need each other.
Yes.
And if it doesn't work with you, we find somebody that does work. And if this place doesn't work for you, there's another place. It's all good. We're all here to lift each other, and however that looks. And so
We don't
thank
have to
you.
be on an island.
No, we
Right.
don't.
Yeah.
And speaking of lifting each other, there's a new energy musician that just moved into the area, and he is wanting to plug into spiritual community. He will be here at 5 o'clock doing a sound bath.
Today?
Today. He will be in our
Ah.
building at 5 o'clock doing a sound bath, and he moved here, and I told him, honey, you need to meet our people. So if sound baths are your thing, I'm coming so that I get my cup filled, because it's what I do for others, so I get to be filled today by somebody else. So please come out and see Donnie. He's a really sweet guy. You'll love him.
Lovely. Sound bath at 5?
Hopefully we do that more.
All right. Excellent. All right. That's suggested love offering of $25. Wonderful. All right. With that, I think we are complete. Yes? All right. And we do our prayer for protection. The light of God
The light of God
surrounds
surrounds
us.
us.
The love of God enfolds us.
us. The power of God protects us.
And
The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
And so it is.
And I'm
And
using
so it
this one for the
is.
hurricane because,
All
you know,
right.
as that's happening.
Yep.
As that is happening and unfolding for my island, we can use this prayer of protection. So, you know, please keep
All
that
around.
prayer going for that hurricane as it's doing its thing. My country is Jamaica. Jamaica, who is right in the path of that fabulousness that's coming through
Much
there.
love. Much love.
Oh no, it's going right over Jamaica, love. It's been doing all kinds of stuff, and those of us who do energy work has been having fun watching it pop around in the sea. So it'd be nice if it just turned around and just didn't touch any of those islands.
Yes.
So that's what I'm holding. So the prayer for protection is one that I'm using for that.
Love it. Have a great week, everyone. Hope to see a lot of you next week. All right.